Saturday morning. I'm Alero Edu, welcoming you to Sunrise.
Happy Children's Day! Yay! Amaya Makinde, good morning and welcome.
Behold this child.
Yes, I'm a child. Happily. Many of us, we don't know that we are children. When you are reading your Bible, you say, you are a child of God. We are children of God. Did you say, the Bible says you are a man of God or a woman of God? You are children. You are a child. Child. Even if you are 90 years, you are a child. Yes.
So, are you done? Are you done?
Oh, no. I want to talk about children.
Okay.
I want to talk about children, Yeah, but it gets me. I'm really concerned that we are not really giving the children the attention that they deserve, and we don't even know that we do it so strongly. It's painful
and inadvertently. But like I was explaining to you, it is a function of where we're coming from. In our time, you didn't talk about children. You didn't talk to them. They were just there. And then things evolved, and then you had International Children's Day, International Year of the Child,
1979.
And then you are making policies to improve the well-being of children. All that is new to us, and we're mouthing all those things because the UN says we should.
I was speaking with we're going to have a further conversation about this morning, thankfully, but I was speaking with a child behavioral, whatever the English word that they use is, and she was saying something like, when I was just asking, just to get some background into the discussion, I said, look, what is it, that government ought to do about children, and we don't know what kind of policies? So we make policies for children all the time, we just don't know. I said, really? Said every policy that is made has a direct or indirect consequence on the children. It was like it stung me like I'd never heard it before. That is true. If you extort too much money from the parents in forms of taxes, levies, and all those things, the children
affects the children directly.
Yeah. Because it affects anything they do. If you raise the cost of petrol, diesel, whatever it is, it reduces quite some that the children should have. All kinds of things. Really?
Wow.
It is true. So we essentially do not care about the children, but we don't even know.
And we should care, because that's where it all starts.
When ASU is going on strike, do we have any idea the direct consequence on the children? Do HISU, I understand, is that they are on strike or about, I think they said they wanted to start strike. And are we aware of the direct impact on the children? Children. We were children at some point. You said it the other time.
Yeah.
And what I've also been told these days is, you can't even think of raising children the way you were raised. You can't.
Anyway, keep your gunpowder dry.
Okay.
We're talking Children's Day in the body of the program.
I'm sorry.
So slow down.
Okay.
Yes, I want to know your thoughts about what the Minister of Education said in the course of the week, that he had no idea what the Ministry of Education was about when he was made the minister.
Oh, well, he said it.
Yes, he said it.
So,
and
there's no cause for legislation.
Oh, okay. No cause for alarm. Okay, all right, fine.
I think it really underscores one of the things that has been said, by a good number of, I think, lawmakers and even some civil society organizations. That look, when you are assigning, and I'm hoping that the incoming government, either at the federal or state levels, will do this. When you come into government and you want to send a list of nominees to the National Assembly, could you kindly send with
their prospective portfolios?
Because if the CBN governor is to be screened by the National Assembly, it is clear he is going to be CBN governor.
Yeah.
If the chairman of the NDDC is going to the National Assembly, it is clear, unambiguous, he is going to be chairman or whatever, GM, MD of the NDDC. So if we can have that for some ministries, departments, and agencies, why not for other ministries, all ministers? And add that to the fact that according to Professor Skeyamo, the Minister of State portfolio is redundant.
In other words, he's saying he didn't have much to do, or he hasn't had much to do in the last 8 years.
He actually said it's unconstitutional that there is no provision for what's the Minister of State?
Junior Minister. Well, it does his CV good.
Oh, well, yeah. He said it.
How about that?
He said it. He said, I mean, it raised his CV, so...
No, his profile.
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, indiscipline on the roads.
Honestly, we don't have any more time because we have quite a long list. But you see, that indiscipline, I don't know... You know, we have at least 16 states in Nigeria that have one form of LASMA or the other. So who enforces traffic laws? Who does? In Kano, in Kaduna, in Delta, in Zamfara, in
Sokoto.
Oyo. There are tons of examples that one could give. People driving willy-nilly against traffic and not giving, what's that, rats bum? Who is affected by it? I don't even know. Then let's just go.
Did you say that on air?
No. What was that? Okay.
To the menu. We're talking about the Nigerian child. That's what we're going to start this morning.
Yes, please. And after that...
Them.
Yes, we children.
Yes.
And that will be followed by a conversation around laparoscopy,
laparoscopic prostatectomy.
You will understand what that means. It's from Reddington Hospital's milestone later on the show. Christ.
And then we go to Eko, my Lagos. What's that all about? You need to stick with us to find out.
Then Lagos State is the only one that has two names.
Eko, Lagos.
And then this one. You know, you've seen why people act the way they do, and today you will know why children act the way they do and what you should do when they do.
And then we shall end, as is usual on Sunrise, with the Artist of the Week segment.
Yeah, and today it's all about children, so that's the way we're gonna. You just, keep, as you said the other time, keep your gunpowder dry. I don't even know who did.
That's right.
What do you do with gunpowder? You paint your face or something?
No, if you don't keep it dry, if you wet it, then it wouldn't fire.
Oh. Okay, please keep keep your cocoa powder wet in the bottle, in the cup. We'll be right back.
Or your cocoa.
Oh, yes. That will be white. The Nigerian child. Okay, let me not get emotional. Let me try not to get emotional this morning. According to data, Nigeria is a country of the young. Almost half the entire population is said to be under the age of 15.
Ouch.
About 46%.
We are having children like rabbits. Excuse my French.
We're having children, period. Please.
Oh.
Guess what? Let me make it better. More than half, I think about 70% or thereabout, of Nigerians are below age 35.
Okay.
So we young people, we...
Are you today?
See, as I said, a little over 1 in 3 of Nigeria's whole population is also said to live below the poverty line, which makes it...
There. Now the picture is bright and then suddenly it goes dark.
Nigeria accounts for more than 1 in 5 of out-of-school children in the world. Primary education is officially free and compulsory, but only 67% of eligible children take up a place.
How many primary schools are really free in Nigeria?
That's a question for one government official. I wish we had one here.
Okay, all right.
If a child misses school for even a short time, there is a very low chance, only about 25%, that the child will ever return. This is talking about their health, their education. We haven't even gone to the space of their health.
Their health.
We've not gone to the space of their mental health. We've not gone to the space of their social well-being. So, and then children don't take care of themselves. Someone or some people take care of them. And as we mentioned earlier, what affects the parents directly affects the children. Let's have some conversation this morning with two gentlemen who are here with us, and hopefully one or two other persons who will join us in the course of time. Let me welcome, first of all, a fellow child, Olanrewaju Okoyemi, who is a bronze winner.
Co-child.
Yes, bronze winner, a silver participant, International Award for Young People in Nigeria. So he's a student of State Senior High School, Alimosho. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Thank you. And of course, we have National Director, International Award for Young People in Nigeria, Oshoke Bello. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
Olanrewaju, I'll be asking you some very difficult questions. Not the kind that your teachers give you lectures or what's that thing they give you?
Exams.
Exams. Don't look beyond your parents. Generally, do you think children, first of all, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'll be 18.
You'll be 18, so you are not yet 18, so you are not an adult yet. Good. So, do you think children are, the governments at various levels care about children?
Yeah, let me first start by acknowledging the Honorable Commissioner for Education of Lagos State, Honorable Adefisayo Olashade. She has been taking care of us right from primary school. I remembered when I was in primary one. Okay, let me take it like this. I remembered when I was in primary one, my English was so bad, and the only thing they could do was to organize a co-curricular activities whereby we take phonics. And there was this, my teacher that was taking me phonics then, and she started grooming me. Then I remembered how we stay back to like, okay, this is how you go, this is how you do this.
So that's after school hours.
Yeah. And I remembered back then, the only thing I could say is yes, no, yes, no. But now, with the help of phonics and continuous learning, I've been able to at least come to a balance in English language.
How many, my apologies, how many children, from what you know, do you think, can you say have had the kind of opportunity you have had?
There are thousands of children across Nigeria generally. In Lagos, in a school, I would say we have close to 1,000 students. And just in a country like our country, Nigeria, we have more than 300,000 schools. So I can boldly say that more than thousands of students, in fact, millions, they've been able to encounter this stage of learning.
The only thing is, I mean, if the data is right, then, and you're saying that, you know, this is the story, according to data, 1 in 5 out of school children, in other words, 1/5 of out-of-school children in the world are in Nigeria. And that's not a small number, but we'll come back to you. Well, Mr. Bello, you've listened to him. You might have a broader understanding or perspective of the issues. Do you think we, as a nation, care enough about children?
Thank you very much. I think I'll begin from what your co-anchor said earlier, and that's the fact that what affects the adults also affects the child, because children are products of the people that they deal with, and of course the things that are around them. And the society itself also has a very, very big role to play in issues affecting children. Now, I would look at it from the angle of there's the societal part of it, there's also the government's role, and then of course the family role as well. But I would say it seems now, right now, one particular aspect or one particular area is having a bigger influence on others, which means that, just like you mentioned, what affects the adults would indirectly also affect the child. Children, just like you also mentioned earlier, cannot take care of themselves. They are being brought in by parents who came together and said, okay, we want to bring in this child. And so the decisions that they would make at that stage of their life are not 100% totally theirs. They are down to influences from the adults who brought them in. They are down to suggestions from friends, from associations, relationships. So there's a lot that brings into this divide. Now, down to your question, I think the government has several initiatives that they have put in place. But in terms of tailoring it down, does it get to the grassroots? I mean, you've read some certain figures that we are all familiar with. Even the Honourable Minister for Education also acknowledged those figures as well. But in terms of how has this now been reduced? We all hear of issues of, especially up north, many young people are not able to go to school anymore because of rising insecurity and all that. And then you also mentioned a very crucial figure. Many young people who get out of school or who miss school for certain reasons or the other, a large percentage of them don't find their way back in. So there is a lot at various levels. He was, I would say, was quite privileged to have that experience, of being guided or being mentored, in terms of phonics and all that. But many young people don't. I mean, you share from your own experience that, you see people who go through school, finish exams and WAEC and all those things, and then, it doesn't level up, it doesn't balance up.
Mr. Miller, this experience, is it the same for the girl child? Because I know that in some areas, the girl child is disadvantaged. How bad is it with the girl child?
Yeah, the experience is quite different, really, with the girl child. I think there are so many factors, especially in our country like ours, that affect the girl child. We have the Child Rights Act, which clearly states the rights of a child. But then this act is also being circumvented by various other factors, religion, ethnicity, just to mention a few. So the divide is quite huge, and the girl child is quite disadvantaged, really. It's quite disadvantaged, and a lot of efforts need to be put in place, to bridge that gap. To bridge that gap in making the voice of the girl child to be heard a whole lot more.
The Child's Rights Act of 2003. Do you think we're just mouthing it? How many states, for instance, have domiciled it? Number one. Number two, how many of those states are enforcing what that act says?
Yeah, so from last statistics, not so many of the states are actually, enforcing the sections or the requirements of the Child Rights Act. I think, yes, I think it's just with every policy here in Nigeria, they exist, but I think a lot needs to be done in terms of following it through, implementation. One very important part of the Child Rights Act is, the right to security. A child whose parents has done the needful in sending a child to school and then all of a sudden gets a phone call and say, oh, your child has been kidnapped. There are limits to where a parent's supervision or guidance ends. Or even, in private schools where, you go home and then you get the report, oh, your child was molested. So again, it's...
So the child is not quite adequately protected.
Yes.
Even in controlled environment like school.
Yes, and that's the first point of exposure for education for a child outside the family.
Okay, let's bring in Mr. Yomefawemi, who is an HR consultant but's been an enthusiast, an education enthusiast for quite a while. Mr. Afawemi, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, and thanks for having me. And happy Children's Day to all of us.
Yes, to all of us. Yes, thank you. And we also have Sandra Uluwadare, who is a parenting coach and child behavior consultant. Both of them join us virtually this morning. Madam, thank you for joining us. Okay. While we're waiting for her, let me bring you in, Mr. Fawemi. You heard the last comment from Mr. Bello about the environment, the education environment where the child is supposed to feel safest, so to speak, but unfortunately doesn't feel so safe because of the security challenges. And we've had conversations around this for quite a while, Safe School Initiative, you name it. So what do you think is missing here?
Oh, thanks for having me. Again, happy Children's Day to all the children in Nigeria. It's a privilege to be a child. And I think one thing we need to accept and agree to is the fact that the Nigerian state is responsible for children, because the principal responsibility for a child belongs to the state. Actually, the law empowers the state. By the state, I mean the state called Nigeria, not state level of government, but the whole entire gamut of statehood of Nigeria. The law empowers the state to even take over the responsibility where a parent fails. So the state has not done enough, and there have been talks about security, there have been talks about threats, So for me, at the base of the problem that we have with the Nigerian child, the threat to the Nigerian child, is the lack of capacity or lack of seriousness of the state. My dear friend in the studio that started, when he started the conversation, he said he wants to thank the Commissioner for Education. So first question to ask is that, why is he thanking the Commissioner for Education? First question to ask, why is a child thanking the Commissioner for Education? If you unpack that appreciation, you understand what we're talking about. This child feels a gratitude to the Commissioner for Education. But the question we need to ask ourselves is that in Nigeria, we have a Minister for Women Affairs. In Nigeria, many states have a Commissioner for Women Affairs. Why is there no Minister or Commissioner for Children? In many countries of the world, there is a dedicated cabinet person for the child. So what then happens in Nigeria is that, and as this appreciation that our friend has given, when a child is threatened in the school, the Commissioner for Education in all the states, they stand up to it. But when that same child is threatened outside of the school, nobody talks about it. We had cases in Lagos, for example, in the last couple of years where children have unfortunately died in school, and the Commissioner for Education and the Ministry of Education rose up to it. But you remember there was a time we had about 5-6 children that died in a car in Lagos due to suffocation. Did you hear any information from any commissioner? The reason is because we have made child issues in Nigeria an education issue. So a child who is threatened in the school has a lot of government attention, because the government says that the government structure is that when a child is in school, there is the role of the Commissioner for Education. But if that child dies in the market, or that child dies in the car due to suffocation, everybody keeps quiet, as if that child is not a child.
Well, Mr. Fawemi,
so part of the lack of...
Just a second. Just expatiate on that a little bit further, so that the context is not only not lost, but also understood better. It is true, I mean, because the moment you said when an education issue arises, that's where we put children, Alera was nodding her head in agreement. But it doesn't happen in hospitals. It doesn't happen at the airports. It doesn't happen at the sports centers. What is missing?
Yeah, what is missing, like I'm trying to explain, is the fact that there is no focus on the Nigerian child. You have a Ministry of Women Affairs. You have a Ministry of Youth. There is no Ministry of the Child. Many countries of the world, including Canada, have a minister that has accountability for children. Some call it children and family, for example. So when anything happens to a child, that person takes responsibility for it. Either something happened to a child or something should happen for it. There is no deliberate focus on the Nigerian child. We had a case in Egypt where a school bus was conveying children to school and the school bus derailed. And as a result of that, 2 or 3 ministers resigned. That's what happens when a country is serious about children. I'm going to give you some statistics. The National Bureau of Statistics just gave release of the MIC that talked about the number of states that met the target of under 5 mortality in Nigeria. That's the number of children that died before 5. Out of 36 states, only 4 states met the target. That's Lagos, that's Anambra, Ebonyi, and Osun State. Only 4 states met the target. Check the last election. Those states had election. Why did the voters in the state not give a feedback to those leaders? In fact, there is a state in the Southwest, I'm not going to mention so I don't get misunderstood. Rather than reduce the number of under 5 mortality, it increased. The governor contested for election and won a second term. So we have a situation where the government is not focused on the child.
Okay.
We have a situation where the voters are not using their poor performance in managing a Nigerian child to vote them out. So
I think that underscores a very important point there, Mr. Fawenwe. Let me bring in Mr. Oluwadare, who is a parenting coach and child behavior consultant. You know, when we began, and you may also want to speak to some of the issues that she heard. Okay, I understand that she's not ready yet. But Mr. Okoyemi, which one is your surname?
Olanrewaju.
Olanrewaju is your surname. Okay, Mr. Olanrewaju. You've heard him. You've also heard your Mr. Bello speak to some of these issues. I asked you when we started, do you think there is enough focus on children? Do you think children are well taken care of? In the context of what you have heard so far, do you still think so?
I'll give it a 50-50. Number one, because if a child is not in school, then we should speak to the parent. Because as a parent, if you are grooming your child right from when he or she is young, let me put it like this, you groom your child in the way of God as it is to be, that's the first thing to put first. And when you are young, when the child is young, you are grooming him, you need to go to school, you need to do this, do assignments, do classwork, and others. The child starts to get interest in what he or she is learning. And when the child is exposed, he feels that my friends are doing this, let me also join them.
Okay.
So it is that grooming that the parent had given to the child that would determine if the child is going to adhere to what he or she is exposed to.
So essentially you're saying education is one of, if not the most important in the life of a child.
It's a 50-50.
Okay.
Because
don't worry, we'll talk about the other 50. let's quickly take Ms. Oluwadare on. I understand she's ready for us now. Thank you for joining us this morning, madam.
Thank you so much for having me.
Speaking from the policy perspective, you are a child behavior consultant. You are also a parenting coach. But let's we began by asking the question of whether or not, as a country, we are giving enough attention to children. From what you have seen in your practice, in your experience, speaking with parents, speaking with all kinds of stakeholders in your career, what have you seen in that regard?
Thank you so much for that question, and happy Children's Day to all the children.
Yes, thank you.
I will say that so much more needs to be done. So far, it's obvious that much attention is not given to the child holistically, not just from the family unit, but the society as a whole. Because when it comes to, raising children, we're talking about the family unit as the bedrock of the society. We're talking about a unit where people are, raised to go back into the society to make impact, to affect humanity positively. So if a unit such as the family is going to make so much impact in the society, I think much more awareness or much more support needs to be created, for proper child development. Because, if we are not paying attention to the kind of people we are producing, the child who is 5 years old today is going to be 15 in the next 10 years. So if all things are not in place that is supposed to help the child become wholesome and well-balanced, that child in a few years is going to go into the society. And if one child can create so much change, if one adult can create so much change, one adult who is well-raised, now you can imagine how much havoc a child who is not well-raised can create as well. So
just to be clear, madam, a quick one, just to be clear, you said a number of things need to be done, and if those things are not done, we will have a malnourished or on a child that is not raised well. What are these things? Mr. Fawemi, while speaking the other time, says the only box we seem to put children is in the education box. No health, social welfare. You talked about the child going into society. So what is missing in the mix? We can take for granted that the education ambit or the education docket is taken care of, assumably. What other things are missing in the entire sphere of childcare?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So we need to begin to look at other areas aside from education, like you said. Now, what kind of soft skills are we empowering our children with? What kind of, skills are we equipping them with? Are they really prepared to go out there? Are they really prepared to go into the society? So we're talking about empowering our children with skills such as executive functioning skills, communication skills, because we find that when people get into the workplace, for example, some people come in with trauma, some people come in with their own mindset, their own programming, the way they have been raised from home. But we realize that parents sometimes raise their children as if they are going to be tied to their apron strings forever, forgetting that a time will come when these children are going to go into the society. So we need to niche down on skills such as executive functioning skills, children being able to communicate properly, children being able to speak up, because most times we find that children are hushed. They are not allowed to express their emotions. For example, a child comes to you and says, "Oh, my pencil got broken," and the child is crying, and you're saying, "Oh, so we have a box of pencils. Is that why you're crying? I can just give you another one." So what are we teaching that child? We're making the child understand that your feelings do not really matter, and you can as well, just keep your feelings to yourself. Now that child grows up. The child doesn't know how to manage his emotions. The child doesn't know. In fact, the child is okay with stifling his emotions. Now that child goes into the workplace. How is he going to relate with other people? And when emotions have been kept, bottled up for a long period of time, the day that person is going to let it out, it might not just end well. So we have skills like emotions management, emotional intelligence. We have skills such as negotiation. Children who would grow up and will be well balanced. So it's not about just being okay educationally. We're talking about a well balanced learning. We're talking about children who are able to thrive, wherever they find themselves.
Okay.
So I think we need to focus more on other skills aside numeracy, literacy, and all of that. We should be able to turn out children who can stand, wherever they find themselves and navigate through life, successfully.
Okay. Mr. Fawemi, we can't talk about children and not talk about the number of children out of school, especially in Nigeria. And I think we should appreciate that the number is so high as a result of poverty. I know that there is a law in this country that says that children of, especially primary school, that every child is entitled to a primary school education. But that is not being enforced by anybody. And we're told that children up to about 13, 14 cannot even read 2 words in the language of their learning. How do you think we can begin to tackle this? Because it looks like instead of growing an educated, literate society, we're actually moving backwards. We're retrogressing. We're having more and more illiterate people in our country. How do we begin to take care of that?
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the question. I mean, the question of out-of-school children is a very painful thing. I mean, I don't know how many times we have had this conversation on this channel about the fact that the numbers of children out of school is increasing, and it seems as if nobody cares about it. The Minister for Education at the end of his tenure in 2019 apologized to Nigerians and said he wished to reduce the number of children out of school. He admitted he did not do enough. And the president appointed him for another 4 years. I mean, you see, at the being of the problem of the child, whether is it government? Now, we have a situation where we have a Child Rights Act. We have the UBEC law, for example, that criminalizes not sending your child to school. Who should enforce those laws? It is still the government. And it is still government. I mean, to be very precise, it's this government that has the biggest opportunity to make a difference.
Mr. Fawemi, let's drill down. When you say it is government, which one? Which agency of government? Which individual in government?
So, again, I come back to the fact that the government is not really serious. So when government wanted to tackle corruption, what did they do? They set up EFCC and ICPC to focus on corruption as a crime. When government wanted to tackle the question of of trafficking, they set up NAPTIP to focus on trafficking. If government wants to focus on ensuring children go back to school, then they should set up a special part of the Nigerian police force whose duty is it to enforce children going to school. All those parents should be in jail by now. And I'm not saying we should do something we're not doing before. The presidential candidate of the PDP, when he was a child, his father was arrested for not sending him to school. So I'm talking about what we were doing 40, 70 years back. His father, the father of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, was arrested for not sending him to school. That's why he went to school. That was the choice he had. He had to make a trade-off to send him to school. I grew up in Ibadan. I remember governors like Paul Tafa. I particularly remember the former governor of Oyo State. That's the old Oyo State that is the current Oyo and Osun State. Paul Tafa in Ibadan. Then you dare not even talk about the child did not go to school. It goes around Ibadan between 8 and 8:30 in the morning. Any child who is late to school, again, remember the current governors are sleeping over children not in school. Any child who is on the road to school after 8, Paul Tafa effectively disciplines you on the road. Now, so at the end of the day, it is the role of the government. We had the massive, I mean, the Commonwealth recorded it as the biggest and massive public radical change in public education in the whole of the Commonwealth between 1955 and 1960. Because the Western government of Chief Abafemi Awolowo decided to make it an issue. So we will not have more children in school because parents are sending their children to school. You know, people will say, some parents, the data from MBS says the biggest reason why children are not in school is that many parents do not see the reason why the child should be in school. That's what the data says. It's not money. It's not lack of school. That's what the data shows us in Nigeria today, that it is parents, they don't see reason why they should send their children to school.
It raises a question, Mr. Fawemi. My apologies. Let me ask you that question, Mr. Bello. The question was already brewing on my mind before he got to this particular point. How functional is the education curriculum that you know that we have today, from nursery to primary to secondary to university education levels?
All right, thank you very much. I think this week, it just coincided that this week I was at an education summit, which also we had the Honorable Commissioner for Education coming to speak. We had a special advisor to the governor on education also coming to speak. Now, I think the discussion then was around the future trends in education. I work for a charity organization that focuses on promoting learning both within and outside the walls of the classroom. I think our curriculum now is still a bit stereotyped, and truth be told, it's not helping us to produce the graduates that can actually compete out there. The world trend is talking about AI, artificial intelligence, it's talking about ChatGPT, quite a lot in metaverse and all. Is there you've been through school, you probably have an idea what I'm talking about. Is there will I call it a course or whatever, a subject in place that addresses that? You go through secondary school, the focus is on passing WAEC, NECO, key subjects, chemistry, physics, biology. You go to the university, but even in the university, is the focus around exposing young people to experiences? I feel that our curriculum needs to look at how young people can be exposed better to experiences. A young person will discover themselves, whether no matter what you do or impose on them, they would still discover themselves. So why not create the opportunity, you create a curriculum that is more robust towards helping young people discover themselves, towards helping people think, towards building, towards emotional intelligence, how to relate to people out there. Because many young people are a product of what they see and what they experience. Now imagine growing up in a house where, the mother looks down on the housemaid, looks down on everybody. And then the same child will do the same thing in school. That's why you have issues of bullying and all, because they feel like, okay, this is something I've learned, something that I've encountered. So definitely it's right and it's the norm, and so I practice it. Yeah. So I think our curriculum should actually be revised and looking into how do we help young people expose themselves to experiences.
Okay, let's practicalize this here. Okoyemi, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I wanted to be...
You wanted?
Yeah.
You changed your mind?
Yeah, I'm changing my mind.
Oh, okay. So let's hear what you wanted to be earlier.
I plan to be a computer scientist.
Okay.
But as things goes on, I see that the population in computer science is becoming too much, and there are other aspects like cloud engineering where they deal with storage. It is not rampant in the society like that, and it is something that can fetch money as, what...
So you want to work in computers?
Yeah.
Okay. So the education you're getting now, how much are you getting that is guiding you towards this thing that you want to achieve as your life goal?
It's not as if they are taking me through the path of going to the university to learn those particular courses, but there are other side programs that I feel is helping me to achieve my... Such as the International Award for Young People Nigeria program. This is a global framework that had been set to empower young people from the age of 14 to 24.
So it is not what you are learning in class that is really guiding you?
What I'm learning in class is guiding me towards going into the university to learn what I want to learn.
Yes.
Without those basic skills in the class right now, I won't be able to proceed into the university to learn those courses. So what I'm learning right now is part of my success journey. It's part of what is going to take me into the university, whereby I'm going to learn that course which I want proper.
Okay. Mr. Fawemi, you are an educationist, so you will have a lot of information about this matter of the curriculum in school and how it helps or how it doesn't help groom students.
question. We have a government agency responsible for design of curriculum, the NERDC. It's based in Abuja. The question is that how effective has that institution been? One of the problems that institution has is the speed.
Mr. Bello is shaking his head.
Is the speed of responsiveness to curriculum and changes in the market. One of the biggest problems in Nigeria, when you're talking about curriculum in Nigeria, is the fact that most of the curriculum designers at various levels do not understand the school-to-market concept. The school-to-market concept sees the child going through school as somebody being targeted for the market. So, for example, I attended Oshogbo Grammar School, I attended University of Ibadan. That school is preparing me for a market. Therefore, that school should rely on the market to determine what I should be trained. But what has happened in Nigeria, for example, is that most schools or most curriculum development organizations feel that they are training people for themselves. I used to be a lecturer at a federal university in Ondo State many years ago, and we decided that we're going to review the curriculum for the estate management department where I was a lecturer. And between the time we started the review till the time it got to Senate, it was well over 4 years. Now, so the review process was so long that what the market we were trying to target had changed. Our dear friend in the studio said he likes to be a computer science, great choice. A great computer scientist, great choice. But what has been found is that based on the principle of the reproduction of knowledge in computer science, research has shown that the knowledge in computer science gets reproduced every 6 to 9 months. What that means, therefore, is that what is in the textbook in computer science today, in 6 to 9 months, the volume of that information will either have been replaced, reproduced, or multiplied by a multiple of 2 in 6 to 9 months. So when a child gains admissions to University of Lagos to study computer science, the curriculum is started with, by the time he graduated 4 years back, the knowledge in the space called computer science will have doubled 8 times. But the structure of the Nigerian curriculum review system is that curriculum review doesn't even happen every year. So when you're talking about, and that's why, when we talk about all these stories about Jackpot, Nigerians leaving, you will notice one fact that some trades don't move abroad so quickly. For the trades where the rate of creation of new knowledge is very fast, Nigerians can't catch up because it's faster and the other parts of the world are responding. But in some fields where the rate of creation of new knowledge is slower, like medicine, for example, then we can easily catch up. And that's why a doctor can train from Nigeria and the next day you can plug him to NHS. He can perform immediately. So we need to be very conscious of the fact that each sector of the economy, each sector of the market has a rate of new knowledge creation.
Well,
and new knowledge.
Mr. Fawemi, it's very interesting. When you talked about NERDC, I knew their office, Lagos office, somewhere in Alausa. Mr. Bello, please stop shaking your head. Because I can understand. Well, while as you said the other time, Mr. Fawemi, anytime we're talking about children, we think it's just all about education, but it's a lot more than that. And I think the young man here began by talking about the role parents also play. I think I'll shoot this to Ms. Oluwadari first, and I would like you also, Mr. Fawemi, to respond to it a little bit. I showed Alera here a little while ago. So I read something in one of the scriptures, and it's about communication with children. As Alera said when we were starting, when we were all growing up, you don't talk to children, you talk at. You don't talk about children. It's like everything that concerns children is just in one docket. But I found something where scriptures say, fathers, don't provoke your children to anger. Ms. Oluwadari, how frequently does that happen today? I'm speaking particularly in the area of how we communicate to children. Do parents provoke their children, or parents are just supposed to do as they are told?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I love that question. Now, communication effectively in the home front is one of the most important things parents should be aware of. The way we communicate with our children goes further than how we think we're trying to drive home our points. Now, that scripture that says, Father, do not provoke your children to anger, really obtains today. Because today we have children who are carrying so much emotional baggage on their tiny shoulders. These children their personalities have been damaged as a result of the things that their parents have done to them, not only fathers now. Now, the way you speak to a child will determine the lens through which the child will see himself. If we consistently rub their mistakes on their faces, so a child does something and just because you want to correct the child, as parents, we think it's okay to reel the child's life history before his face in a flash. We remind him of all the past mistakes. We compare them continuously and all of that. So for the parents, you think you're trying to discipline your child. You think you're correcting your child. You want the child to turn out better, but you are actually damaging that child. Because how I speak to you will determine, especially for these children who are still developing, it will determine how they're going to see themselves. So they have a bad time or a hard time at home in the morning, and then they go out the door, they get to school, and then something happens. The teacher, who may not fully understand the assignment, continues the same trend that started at home. I mean, how is that child going to feel?
Okay.
That child is going to feel...
We're running out of time, Ms. Oluwadare. Let me ask Mr. Fawemi in a different way. So imagine a child, 5 years or 6 years old, comes to you as a father and said, Dad, you are provoking me.
Mr. Fawemi, answer now.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks. One of the things that we need to be very conscious of is that one of the features of the modern way of teaching a child is to increase their assertiveness. I believe one of the reasons why Nigeria is where it is was that our culture, children are not supposed to be assertive. So we have transferred it. We grew up in a culture where the king is called Kabiyesi. I mean, we can't question the king. So that's the culture some of us who are much older grew up in. So now that we have politicians that were elected, we still have that same mindset. So that's why when you ask a question of the governor or the president or the commissioner, people wondering, well, you should be grateful for what he has done, because they still have the mindset of can't be governor, see, Now, when a child walks up to me, when my son says I'm provoking him, the first thing is I need to validate that feeling. He's feeling something. And the way he can put it in the words is to say, I am provoking him. So the first thing is to first validate the feeling. Oh, okay, I'm provoking you. Or is it so you feel frustrated by something that I did or said or didn't do? Of course, the dad would like to say yes. Okay, so explain to me what you mean by I'm provoking, or what is that feeling you are experiencing?
Mr. Fawemi, we are out of time. Yes. I'm sorry. Okay. We are out of time. However, I'm just trying to picture a parent right now who was raised in a way, and my child says, Daddy, you are provoking me. Mr. Bello, you are laughing. 30 seconds. Okay,
I think it's more or less evolving parenting, really. Many of us grew up on a particular stage or generation of life where parenting was a whole lot different. And right now, it is different. So I don't know how, but parents have to be very, very intentional about the way and manner in which they want to approach issues regarding their children, rather than just being stereotyped and my mother did this way, so it has to be this way.
What do you have to say about that? 10 seconds.
My own opinion is that parents should try to listen to their children.
To listen.
There are certain ways at which they can present situations to their children. And when they are correcting them, they should try correcting them in love. And when it is time for them to correct them in the harsh manner, they should do that also, but try to draw the child back to themselves.
Harsh love.
We should listen to our children.
I think that, so please, you have to listen to me.
Okay, my child.
Yes,
okay,
you have to listen to me. I want to thank you all this morning for being here. Matthew Okoyemi Olanriwaju, bronze winner, silver participant, international award for young people in Nigeria, and a student, State Senior High School, Alimosho. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Oshoke Bello, National Director, International Award for Young People in Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time. Mrs. Sandra Uluwadare, parenting coach and child behavior consultant. We appreciate your time as well as Mr. Yomi Fawemi, HR consultant and educationist. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here this morning.
Thank you very much.
So, in case you just find your child saying,
"You are provoking me.
Daddy, you are provoking me," don't say, "Ah."
Ah. I don't do.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Eko, my Lagos. What is that? Eko is Lagos now.
It's the only state that has two names.
Okay, all right. They've said it is Eko, my Lagos. Okay.
Why is it not just Eko State?
Me Sefataya.
Like Osun State, and Osun doesn't have English name.
Anyway.
Or Portuguese name.
They say that Eko, my Lagos is a social, cultural, and educational program that will be hosted by Doyen School to showcase the beauty of Lagos. It's all about the children again.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
To showcase the beauty of Lagos to our children, and the community as a whole. And give participants a memory of a lifetime which will make them love the state more and be patriotic both to the state and to the nation as they grow up. Those goals you cannot fault. Well, Eko My Lagos is coming up very soon, and we have two ladies here to tell us more about this program. We have Vicky Omoni, Director of Doyen's Nursery and Primary School. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we also have Ese Ogene Adeniji, Head Teacher over at the school.
Good morning.
And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You are Head Teacher, so let me start with you. Why this program at all?
Okay, so for us in Doyen's School, we run a thematic program. So for what do we mean by thematic? It means that we have themes for each session, and then the children work with the theme. So there was a session we talked about seasons, and then we looked at this session and said, what should we talk about? And we're like, let's talk about Eko, our Lagos, Eko, my Lagos, because we realized that children really don't know so much about Lagos that they live in, Lagos that they are growing up in, Lagos that they school in. Even some adults don't know.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's what we.
Some people don't even know the meaning of their bus stop.
Exactly. So we said to ourselves, the director came up with the lovely initiative that let's educate these children, let them know more about Lagos, the origin, the leaders, the past leaders, what makes us in Lagos.
Okay, Mrs. Omoni, this seems to be a very big project.
Yeah.
How is it going to look?
What's the content?
She says we're going to learn about Lagos, our Lagos. Fine. Are there going to be classes? Are there going to be shows? There are going to be films about Lagos? Or how are these children actually going to learn about Lagos?
Thank you. Happy Children's Day to all children in Lagos State.
Thank you.
I think we should start from there. And to all children in Nigeria. So Eko My Lagos, like we have said, is a socio-cultural event, an educational event that is going to showcase the beauty of Lagos. So we have started already educating the children about the origin, the history, the past leaders, pioneers, landmark makers of Lagos State.
Okay.
Right. So they've started learning about all of this since September 2022. So the children have been divided into the 5 divisions of Lagos, the Ibile. So the divisions are there, and the children can tell you what each of those divisions is about. They understand it. They have done different projects. They understand the monuments in Lagos, what those monuments signifies, you know, so they can educate Lagosians about Lagos. So the children are going to be showcasing all of this on the 22nd of June, 2023, precisely. They are going to be showcasing it in drama, in songs, in poetry, in different presentations and exhibitions. So we need everyone in Lagos to be part of this event, to come watch and be educated about Lagos. We are aiming to give the children an identity, because it is sad when you have children go into the global world and they do not have an identity. Some of them do not know anything about the culture of where they came from, about the culture of where they live in. And the people without knowledge of history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. As they are growing, they should have a firm understanding, knowledge, identity of who they are, where they came from, and they should be proud of it.
Why do you think it's important?
I think it's important because there are people who are clueless about themselves. And when you get into a world into the global world without having a firm identity of who you are, then you are lost. And anything, everywhere looks like road when you don't have an identity, a map. So it is important that they are rooted. It is important that they are not shaken. They are not moved by different cultures. You look at the Indians, you look at Chinese, you look at Germans. They are very solid. They hold on to their identity. You can't take it away from them. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, our children are losing it. They don't even know who they are. They don't understand Yoruba, they don't understand Igbo, they don't understand Hausa. Even the English, when they still do English tests, they still fail them. They say they don't pass it. Okay, can we just come back to the drawing board and introduce our culture to these children, who we are, and let them be, confident, happy with who God has made them. They are black, they are Nigerians, some of them are Lagosians. There are people who live in Lagos from birth to death, and they know almost nothing about Lagos, even adults. So this is what we're trying to do, to educate both the children and even residents of Lagos as well about Lagos State. So we are customizing it, personalizing it. Echo our Lagos. Echo my Lagos.
But Ms. Adeniji,
yes, ma'am.
Good. Honestly, I agree. A friend of mine wrote a book once. I don't know if I told Alera about this. And one of the things that he said was to know the origin of the cities, some major areas in Lagos. Apapa, or is it Akpakpa? Agidigbe. What's the meaning of this name, Agige, and all those things? But Ms. Adeniji, the question that I have for you is the sustainability of those things in the hearts and minds of the people. Here is why. As soon as they are done learning in school, they've owned it, received it, and everything. The moment they get home, either mommy, auntie, daddy, or uncle are complaining about Nigeria to them. How sustainable for how long can those children hold on to the ideals that you're teaching them when they have contrary information, so to speak, fed to them at home?
Okay, so the beauty about children is they believe so much in their teachers. Have you not heard your children saying to you, my auntie said this is what my auntie said. So we believe because we have so much impacted them now, it might not, like you said, it might not last forever, but because they believe so much in us and would keep on emphasizing it at school, they would always say to mom or dad, no, I believe in Nigeria, I believe in Lagos, I believe that something good is coming out of this nation. This is my identity. This is who I want to be. Don't steal it from me. So I believe that it will be sustained.
In terms of sustainability also, is this an event or a program that is continuous?
Oh, okay. So, like I said initially, we run a thematic session. Okay, so because it's for this session, so this session ends in July, and that's why we're having a grand finale in June for this event. So the event ends in June.
Okay. But the lessons are sustained. Let me ask the director the same question. Because, as you know, you teachers often tell us that repetition helps... Retention, thank you. See, teachers. Repetition helps retention. So, what are we looking at in that direction? I know, it terminates, but then is there a way to at least sustain the remnants of it in a way that the children will always remember for the duration of time that they are in your school?
Okay, so I understand where you're going. The point is, the children are currently, especially the age of children that we're taking, at their formative age. At the formative age, you can actually instill values and watch it grow. That's why the Bible also talks about train up a child. All right, so even if the home is not doing as much as schools are doing, we will not relent in educating and impacting, in instilling values, because have you not learned anything from your child? There are occasions that children actually teach us. They come back home and they're telling you, no, this is what it should be. And they grow up with such strong values. So that is it. And we also run a system where we do a lot of parent education. So we are not just in this, our parents are in it with us. They are driving with us. They are as excited as we are about the event. So like she has said, the event may end in June, but it is not ending because there's a lot of repetition in our curriculum. Even in the school, most of the topics are interlinked. I remember when we took them to the House of Assembly, for instance, the moment they got there, they were able to say a lot about the past leaders that they saw when we got there. They've been to the House of Assembly, they've been to Lagos State Records and Archives Bureau. Some of them have been to the first school in Lagos State in Nigeria. And they can, so we have a lot of interlinking, we have an interlinking curriculum. So they keep meeting all of this in their learning, in their social studies in the school.
Okay.
Now, this event is not a small event.
No, it's not.
It has a big budget.
As you said, it started in September.
Yes, last year.
So you are going to pool together funds from various angles to put this thing together. And from what I read here, you have a budget of 16.7 million. How are you raising, because I'm sure you have started already, how are you raising that amount of money?
Okay, so we wrote to companies seeking for their support.
Why are you laughing?
Yes, because we
She's obviously a teacher, not a marketer.
So
what has the response been?
Okay, so it has been positive. We've been getting some responses, and that's why we're here again today. I would say to Lagosians, we're saying to Nigerians, we're saying to companies, we're saying to the government, we're saying to the governor, we need your support for this, because the children are really excited. If you see what we are wearing, can you show? This is Ikogri. This is a division, a group. Ikogri. This is Ikorodu, Badagry, and the island. That's Emieko. That's Ekwe, mainland, and Ikeja. And there's this other group. So the children are already excited. Everybody is coming together. Parents are really supporting us, but we need a larger house.
How old are these children we're talking about, by the way?
Okay, so we have 2 to 11.
11, yeah.
2 to 11. And they are also excited. They are rehearsing. Yeah. It's just fun. We have WhatsApp group for parents. Parents are almost hijacking it from us, even because they are so excited about it. So we need more support from our Lagos.
It must be exciting.
I can see categories.
Yes, I was just going to read that out. There's platinum category, that's 10 million. The 10 million is the headline sponsor. Then there's the 8 million, the gold. Then there's 5 million for the silver and 3 million for the bronze. And then, of course, all the benefits are listed. So if you are interested, the whole list of benefits will be given to you. But I must say that this is a commendable project indeed.
Thank you.
Because I see that, well, Lagos, when I first came to Lagos, Lagos was a much smaller place. And I knew almost every corner in Lagos. But Lagos has sprawled into various areas now. There are now areas that some I still don't even know. I only read about them in the newspaper. Places like Igondo, where is that?
It's Igondo.
Okay, Igondo.
Yes.
Yes,
Igondo.
okay.
It's not Ikogri, it's Igondo. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Teacher Ayo.
No, that's the teacher.
So Lagos has grown so much. It's now sprawling on all areas. It's grown towards Ibadan. It's grown towards Ekpe, grown towards Badagry. And before you know what is happening.
People are going to be happy with you because you say it's grown towards Ibadan. That means it has overrun Ogun State. Is that what you're saying? Don't answer that question. Well, we have to go now.
Why is this man looking for trouble?
I have to thank you very much for coming this morning. I can only wish you all the best. Most certainly, we may be having you back, Ms. Omoni, especially when we want to talk about education. We understand that children have been boxed into only education and left out of others. But how we can expand that, I think, this is already going in there. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Mrs. Vicky Amoni, Director of Doyen's Nursery and Primary School, as well as Ese Ogane Adeniji, Head Teacher, Doyen's School. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And we hope that you will come and tell us how it all went, because just hearing about it, we ourselves are getting excited about this project. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sunrise will return in just a moment.
For children.
And we're going to be talking medical things.
That's what we're talking about now. Laparoscopic prostatectomy. Yeah, got it once. Because no fewer than 50 patients were diagnosed with prostate cancer. No fewer than 50 patients diagnosed with prostate cancer were successfully operated at Reddington Hospital, Victoria Island. In the last 12 months, Victoria Island is in Lagos, by the way. In the last 12 months, even some of the survivors gave account of how they were saved from premature death after undergoing laparoscopic surgery, a non-invasive pinhole surgery. Let's get into all of the conversation this morning with Professor Kingsley Ekweme, who is consultant urological and robotic surgeon, and who also does laparoscopic prostatectomies. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And of course, we also have Dr. Shola Oluwole, who is medical director, Reddington Hospital Wellness Center. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I should begin with you, Dr. Oluwole. This initiative, how important is it? How rare is it in the country? How costly is it? How serious is the issue?
I'm sweating. Too many questions.
Okay.
Cut the man some slack.
No, the reason I'm asking, because I know that, there is a likelihood that he will be going from one to the other like that. How serious is the issue? How serious is this?
Some of these questions I'll allow Professor Ekweme to answer because he's the expert in this.
Okay.
But in terms of the incidence of prostate cancer, let's start with what are the commonest cancers in Nigeria? And maybe even before that, step back a little bit. 30 years ago, the most common diseases in Nigeria were communicable diseases. Now, in 2023, some of the most common diseases are now non-communicable diseases, particularly cancer.
Since you went there,
Yes.
in parentheses,
Yes.
what is the reason for that?
There are a myriad of possibilities. We don't have specific answers, but
Okay.
certainly change in lifestyle. diet.
Okay. Okay, you can go back now.
Okay. So in terms of how serious this is, bear in mind that the most common cancer in men is prostate cancer. The incidence of prostate cancer in men is multiples of the incidence in Caucasians or Asians. So it's a disease mostly of African men, black men. However, the prostate itself, I think I should allow Professor Kingsley to talk about that. But in terms of the questions you asked, sorry, if you could back up a little bit, there were about 4 questions. One was the incidence.
I know.
And then secondly
one of the questions that I raised is how costly is it
to treat?
Yes.
Okay. I think we have to put it into perspective.
Can it be treated?
Yes.
Okay.
Put it into perspective. What Professor Kingsley does, he's the only one that does that procedure in Nigeria.
Wow.
If you were to have this surgery done in the UK or in the US, it would be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on what was being done. Now, this is being done in Nigeria at a fraction of that cost. But it's not just about cost. Let's also take into cognizance some intangible benefits of doing the surgery in Nigeria. You don't have to travel. You have the cost of travel, cost of accommodation. In Nigeria, you're here in a comfortable environment. You're here with family and friends. All of that helps in your healing process. So all of that we can't put a cost to, but those are very important parts of healing from cancer.
When you said $40,000, $50,000, I wanted to just tell you that's just for the treatment. There are other variables that cannot even be put figures
Precisely.
to. Prof, so we've come back to you for now. Because, first of all, speak to those issues that I raised. How widespread is it globally? And how serious is it in our country? What are the vulnerability? Okay, I'm going on with those questions again. Let's start with those ones.
Okay, thank you. If you look at the global statistics of cancers worldwide, the incidence of prostate cancer varies across regions and continents. If you look at the developed world, it is the commonest cancer, clearly. And if you compare that to Nigeria, for example, even though prostate cancer is the commonest cancer in men in Nigeria, the true incidence is unknown. And it's largely because, one, we don't have a screening program in Nigeria. If you lived in the UK, once you go to any general practitioner and you say, oh, I'm waking up 2 or 3 times at night to urinate, you get a PSA check, which is a simple blood test that can identify men that should be looked at more intensely to exclude prostate cancer. A high PSA doesn't mean you have cancer. It simply means that we should look at you in more detail.
Okay, my apologies.
Yes.
Because someone is now flagging in his mind, okay, overnight I got up like 3 or 4 times. What occasions getting up to ease yourself multiple times in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Is it because the fellow drank a little too much in the night, too much liquid in the night, or the body is ejecting some hangovers? What are the things that, at what point should the fellow worry if he didn't have too much to drink in the night and then he wakes up?
Yes. If a man drinks a lot of alcohol, a lot of water, or indeed, if you have high blood pressure and you're taking specific tablets for blood pressure, for example, that works by making you urinate, that is understandable.
Okay.
So they shouldn't worry. I don't want men to start panicking.
Exactly. Exactly the reason I asked the question.
Waking up at night solely because I want to urinate. And you go to the toilet and urinate. You go back to bed, and 30 minutes later, you have to wake up again to go and urinate. And you're going like a yo-yo to the toilet. And in fact, if you want to find out truly how frequent the man is waking up at night, you ask the wife, because they don't sleep. They'll tell you that, because immediately they wake up, she also wakes up. And that should be a signal that you should have your prostate checked.
That's assuming that they use the same bedroom.
Yes.
Okay.
Prof, what are the symptoms? At what point should a man begin to seek help that something is happening there?
Yes.
Beyond urinating too frequently?
I would hope that if a man is having trouble urinating or having noticed some changes with his urinating pattern, that he should seek help. If you have symptoms from prostate cancer, unfortunately, I'm afraid it might be too late.
Wow.
You want to find prostate cancer when you're asymptomatic. I get asked this by patients all the time. They have the most aggressive prostate cancer, and they come to me and they ask me, but Prof, I feel well. I don't have any symptom. I have no pain. And I'll tell them, thank God for that. Because if you have pain as a result of prostate cancer, it has spread to the bones. And the bone is the primary site for prostate cancer to spread. So bone pain, it's not a good sign, unfortunately.
So what you're saying, in effect, is that a man should have himself checked. He should not wait for symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at what age should a man begin to do that? And how often should he do it?
That's a very good question. Now, you have about 10% of prostate cancers that run in families. And that is an aspect that intensive research is currently going on, of which we're part of the group that's looking into the hereditary prostate cancers. Now, of those, if you have a family history of prostate cancer, and what is that? Maybe your father has prostate cancer, your uncle, first degree relatives, your brother, then you should begin to check your PSA fairly earlier than the normal population. Because
fairly
now,
earlier, at what age is that?
Yes. We now know that men with family history of prostate cancer develop prostate cancer 7 years earlier than the normal population. So for a black man, that should be from the age of 40.
At the latest?
Yes. The youngest patient that I've operated in Nigeria with prostate cancer was born 1976.
Okay. So, is there any likelihood that anyone younger than 40 could be susceptible?
Yes.
Even before 40?
Yes. You know, the lead time for prostate, people don't realize that if you get diagnosed with prostate cancer today, there's what we call a lead time. It means that the cancer, prostate, has been developing for at least 5 years. So doing a PSA check will help you identify the cancer early. Then that will prompt series of investigations. And in current times, you don't have to do blind invasive biopsies anymore. The science has moved on. We now have functional MRI scans. They are called multi-parametric MRI. They are available in Lagos, in Wellington Hospital. They've got 2 MRI scanners, and as well as most of the good centers. And if you have that, that will identify the lesions within the prostate and enable specific targeting of those lesions for biopsies. So it's less invasive.
The question she asked has an extra leg. She said, when does a man begin to check? And you've given us an idea.
And
how
often?
frequently,
Yes,
should that happen?
It depends on the value of your PSA the first time. So there was a study that was done in Scandinavia that looked at thousands of men. And that study clearly followed the men up for several years and noted that men that had PSA value of less than 1, I make it less than 1 so it's not too complicated for the viewers to understand. So at 50 years, for example, if you got a PSA that is less than 1, it's unlikely that you're going to die of prostate cancer in your lifetime. That's what the study says. So based on that, the recommendation is that if your PSA is less than 1 at that age, then you could do it every 2 years. Okay. But if you have a PSA that is greater than 1 at 45, you must do your PSA at yearly intervals at least.
Okay. Now let me take you back a bit. Tell us exactly, where is this thing called the prostate?
That's a fantastic question. Because I always say that you cannot question God. Because if I was going to use artificial intelligence to design a man, I would design it differently. I'll make the prostate superficial so that it's there in your tummy, you can just quickly pick it out. Sadly, the prostate is located deep down within the pelvis. If you touch your bone, you know where your belt is, yeah? If you touch the bone, that's the pelvic bone, the hip. You can imagine that the prostate is hidden deep down underneath. And that's why open surgery, which used to be the conventional technique for removing the prostate, is so difficult. You have to dig down within the pelvis. It's like operating down in a tunnel. The surgeon would have to wear a headlamp, like you're walking in the coal mine. He's not seeing properly, and your assistant, no chance. You can't see anything. So they're dissecting deep down there. They hit blood vessels. You have loads of blood loss, and then fixing it back. When you've removed the prostate, you have to attach the bladder back to the urethra. And the urethra diameter, it's probably 5 millimeters.
It's very small.
It's very, very small. Extremely very small. Yeah? And to put it back is difficult. You have to throw needles. Sometimes they throw 2-3 times. And so the outcome is obvious. Even in the best of hands. They lose blood, they lose their continence. The continence rate is not so good. And the function of sexual function, because you have to spare the nerves. And that's also one of the bad design. Because the nerves that give a man sensation for erection surrounds the prostate like this. Like rings of onions. And you have to peel those rings of onions gently and gently to free them off the prostate and remove the prostate.
And
so
then
that
arrange them back.
Yes. And
anything can happen.
Yes. So you can now see the advantages of minimally invasive prostatectomy.
So tell us about that procedure.
Yes.
What is it? I'm going to come back to you for the business of it. Tell us about this process this one that
laparoscopic,
non-invasive pinhole surgery.
Yes. I spent my whole career doing this. And you have a camera, high definition camera. Through a keyhole, you insert the camera, you insufflate the space.
Please speak English.
Okay. So we use gas to increase the volume so we can see with keyholes.
Okay.
And then we put a camera. The camera magnifies the vision times 3.
Okay. Is the patient able to follow all that on the screen?
No,
or they're out?
The patient will be out.
Ah, okay.
Okay. And with that magnification, you see the prostate in such high definition. It makes me excited when I talk about it, and I'm sure you notice it because I'm looking at it right now. And you don't have to search for it. You can dissect the nerves, you peel them off, and it's so nice to see.
Minimum stress.
Minimal. No blood loss. I've done 50 in Lagos, and no man required blood transfusion. Not even tablet for anything. They go home, there's no painkillers. They recover from their operation. It's unbelievable. And I hope my patients are watching. If you have a dial-in, I'm sure they'll be great. They'll be happy to dial in and confirm to you. They have told the world what they've experienced. Yeah? And then you can fix it all back. And the keyholes are 5 millimeters, by the way. Within 2 weeks, you don't even see it. The man will be looking for it. You can't find it. Through one of the keyholes, we'll remove the prostate that we've detached. And the cancer is gone with it. And that's in a nutshell what the keyhole surgery is all about.
Okay. Dr. Lole.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you a more general question.
Okay.
What exactly is the function of the prostate?
You said you were asking me a general question.
Oh, it's not general. No, I apologize.
No. I'll defer to Professor Kweme. But the prostate is a gland that sits between the bladder and the urethra in the pelvis. The function...
it's very unfair to ask Dr. Luwale.
Yes. Because I'm not a prostate expert. I stopped practicing. My original training was in general surgery, and then I went to public health. So right now, I'm more of an administrator.
Oh, okay.
So
that's why I said I'll come back.
Even if I could ask a question, I'll still defer to Professor Kwame.
Yes, but no, this one you can answer. I don't want him to answer this one.
Okay.
The business of it.
I will hold my horses and take mine to him.
Yes. The business of it.
Yes.
Generally.
Yes.
I mean, you've spoken to the real cost of it when you go out of the country and all, and paying a fraction of it. At the end of the day, first of all, it's Reddington, not Ainke House. So the general image is it's costly.
An arm and a leg.
Yes. So that's why I'm asking about the business of it.
Okay.
So speak to that first.
Okay. To correct your phrase, it won't cost you an arm and a leg. It'll just cost you a prostate.
Just an arm. Okay.
It'll cost you a prostate. As I said earlier, typically in the UK, it can cost anywhere from 20 to 30,000 pounds. In the US, it can cost anywhere from 40, 50,000 to more, depending on the treatment that is required. In Nigeria, insurance covers it, international insurance. Some HMOs cover it, depends on the package that you have. Yeah. So the out-of-pocket cost to someone who's insured in Nigeria is really not that significant. Now, if you're paying by cash or paying out of insurance, it's about less than a third of what you'd pay going to the UK or to the US. I can't give you an exact figure. Why? Because there are other things that go into it apart from just the procedure. But I can tell you that it's certainly a fraction of the cost of being abroad.
It's exciting when you say it's covered by insurance in a way, and then you also spoke about out of pocket. There are many who will not be able to sustain it, not because they want to die, but because they just can't afford it. Is this something that you think is covered in any way by HMOs?
Some HMOs cover it.
Some HMOs cover it.
HMOs have different packages.
Yeah. Yes.
And it depends on the package that you have. But again, there's this perception that Reddington is a very expensive hospital. In actual fact, that's not true.
Even the name is expensive.
It really isn't. But a couple of things I'd like to point out. We have a wellness program, which means that we have screening programs, and we have about 5 different programs, and the cheapest is as low as 65,000 naira, where you go through screening. And part of that screening is the test that Professor Akweme alluded to, the PSA. So the first thing is, if you're a certain age or if you have certain risk factors, start testing. So for 65,000 naira, you can get a test that screens not only for prostate, but other things, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and other diseases. But it's important that we point out that screening is affordable and it's available. And I think more people, and that's why I'm here, because this is part of a wellness package, and part of the program is to increase awareness that people need to start testing early.
When you say on just 65,000, I remember my dad. He had a fight with his teacher, with the bank teller, when he went to a bank. Said his school fees, which his mom worked so hard to raise, and when the teller was writing, it says 175 naira only. He got angry with the word only. Only.
Do you know how much work went into making that money? Yeah, Prof. So what exactly is the function of the prostate?
The prostate hasn't got any overtly important function.
No, Prof. No.
I'm coming to it.
Are you a doctor?
I'm coming to it, yes.
No, because I'm thinking, so why don't I take it out when I'm 20?
Yes, but you see, it's all part of the design that I talked about previously. The actual sperm of a man is made by the testicles.
Okay.
But the semen, you got the seminal fluid, which nourishes it, carries the sperm. And that, at the bottom of the prostate, are 2 glands that also come out of it, called the seminal vesicles. Together with the prostate, they contribute 80% of the semen. And that, for you, could be the function. But so you see, you could do without it, because you can extract the sperm and still achieve pregnancy.
If you took the prostate out,
yes,
can you still function as a man?
Well, yes, if you have nerve sparing, if your cancer is not already locally advanced by the time you present. Remember that the nerves hug the prostate this way, and if you have big cancer that's been neglected and found relatively late, but luckily not spread, chances are that it would have invaded those nerves that are wrapped around the prostate. And if it has, then I'm afraid the nerves can't be kept. Otherwise, you're going to keep cancer behind.
No, where my mind is going is, suppose a man decided to take it out before it got any kind of cancer.
Just
you know
to
what I mean?
prevent.
Yes.
Yeah, just to prevent.
Yes. You're talking about prophylactic prostatectomy. It's not done.
It's not advisable.
It's not done. It's not like breast where you've got established genetic testing system that if you've got it, you're likely to have breast cancer. You can have double mastectomies and things like that. It's not done in prostate. I get asked that question, why are we doing all this? Can I not just remove it?
Exactly.
And I said, no, you can't remove a non-cancerous prostate. It has to be cancerous before you remove it. Because
why can't one remove it?
It's a big operation.
Oh, okay.
And to have all that for no cancer.
Especially when all of the muscles, as you said, are still hugging very strongly.
Absolutely. And if you did that, then it wouldn't be right, because the man has potentially all the side effects without any benefit. Because mind you, the vast majority of men, would live and die from natural causes, not prostate cancer. And so I don't think you can make an argument for prophylactic prostatectomy at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how often do you come to Nigeria to do these operations?
I'm in Lagos practically every 6 to 8 weeks. I'm here. I've been coming.
Why don't you just move back home?
Because I've got patients in the UK as well.
Oh, okay.
That I have to.
So you are a roving surgeon?
No. It's. I'm sure that at some stage in my life, I would be back home. I want to come back home.
Okay. So something Dr. Jola said the other time about you, that you are the only one who does this operation in Nigeria. Are there emergencies, just a thought, that if it's not done before you come back to Nigeria, the fellow could die? Are there such emergencies? In that regard, what happens?
Okay. Well, I hope that no man in Nigeria has prostate cancer that is with an emergency, because if you do, it's spread. It's spread of prostate cancer that causes emergency, which if it's gone to the bones and eats the bones and eats the spinal cord. I've got patients come to me already crippled on a wheelchair.
From prostate?
Yes.
Wow.
It will eat the bones, your spine, and the spinal cord, and you get what we call a spinal cord compression. If you have that, and notice wobbly legs and you have prostate cancer, it needs to be treated within 24 hours. Well, sadly, the patients, I've had 2 or 3 that come to me, and 2 years, they can't recover their
Prof, this is a rather difficult question that I want to ask you. I know that Doc would probably kill me or have me for dinner for this, but in the event that someone cannot afford the 1/3 of the figures that he's talked about, and he's done everything possible. I don't know, he may also want to, respond to it, but what happens when someone cannot really afford it, but it is something that they have to do or else they die? Or you want to defer to him?
No, I'm quite happy to take it, because I decided to come to Lagos to do this. I've treated a lot of rich Nigerians in UK. They come to me. I've operated on quite a few. Actually, I came to Lagos first time because I had to operate on a patient that was seeing me in the UK, but the pandemic came and they couldn't, lockdown, they couldn't travel, and it was urgent, so I had to come to do it. I didn't know where to do it. Hospital, I had to, that's when I called Reddington, because the group medical director, I knew he was in UK. And he said, oh my God, come, we have a good place where you can do the operation safely. And of course I had to vet it, my assistant, And I performed the operation. I went back. But on my way back, that's when I started reflecting and thinking, okay, I've done this now for someone like this. And how about the people who can't afford to travel and come to the UK to pay a lot of money to have this done?
Okay.
How can I do it? That's when I decided.
That's how the partnership began.
Yes, that's how I decided that I would come and do it in Lagos.
You see what we say about medical tourism?
Yeah.
Go over there, and invariably, it's a Nigerian doctor who attends to you.
Exactly. Wait, I want to ask you, Dr. Oluwole, this is probably out of the remit of the conversation, but perhaps something that can be considered. You know, as medical director of this hospital, and you've spoken about out-of-pocket costs and all. Given the cost and knowing, you know, our environment challenges people who will not be able to afford it but need it have it, is there a thinking along the line of corporate social responsibility pool from here and there to just raise such things for people who may not be able to afford it but really need it for the good name, whatever, humanity, and all of those things?
There are a number of altruistic and philanthropic organizations that do have charity funds that can fund care for an indigent population. I believe Professor Kema actually has something that he's working on as well. And as an organization, we take every case on a case-by-case basis. If someone comes in and there's an urgent need for something to be done and they can't afford it, then, I mean, we do make concessions. And sometimes we have partners who will offer to pay for someone's care. So there are different ways in which that can be done. But I think we have to point out that good care, unfortunately, costs money. And that's the reality.
We have to thank you both for coming this morning. The fact that the education is out, the awareness has increased, the knowledge has gone out for so many people, it's cheering. Is there a website for Reddington Hospital? Because I'm pretty sure some people want some information to start hitting you before you even get out of the studio.
Yes, there is. There's a website, and in fact, there's a phone number.
The phone number,
that for Professor Kweme's practice. So we'll make that available.
Can you give us the number?
I'll
Please go ahead. Is it here? Because
go ahead.
I hope it's not your personal line.
No.
Because if it is,
it's on
your life will not
on the
remain
internet
again.
It's on the internet already. So, and then I've got my PA. In Nigeria here,
who responds
to all the messages, but people get me on WhatsApp number. It's +44 for UK is 7471
7471
633 753
75.
And that's a WhatsApp. Many Nigerians already. It's all. They contact me, and then they also contact my PA.
But I would have preferred a Reddington.
Well, I can give you. She's really a Reddington staff who's been assigned to work with Professor Kweme. So it's still a Reddington number. And for the purpose of anonymity, I won't give her name, but I can give you the phone number.
Phone number, yes.
It's +234 810 899 5291.
5291. Okay. 0810-899-5291. That's the phone number. The website, of course, is what you're seeing right there on the screen. I'm pretty sure if you just simply Google Reddington Hospital, I don't know if there are others in the world, but in Nigeria, that's what you will find.
And the professor's WhatsApp number is +44 7471 633 753. WhatsApp only. Thank you.
We have to thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here this morning. Professor Kingsley Ekweme is consultant urological and robotic surgeon who also does laparoscopic prostatectomies. Thank you all so much for your time this morning, as well as Dr. Shola Oluwole, who is the medical director of Reddington Hospital Wellness Center. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Well, that website is something that you have seen right there on your screen. I'm pretty sure that if you just go online, Google it, you'll be able to find it. Just for clarity, is Reddington Hospital. Well, I've seen business site here, but just Google Reddington Hospital, you get to this particular one. Thank you so much for being here again. Well, that's laparoscopic prostatectomy. You need to watch this again. So when it's up in another 2-3 hours from now, just go watch again. Get all the information. On YouTube, that is. We'll be right back after now to talk more about children. Stay with us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for wishing us. Children. You have to know why I act the way I do. I'm a child. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, the child in the studio says we need to know why he acts the way he acts.
Yes, Mommy.
That's why we've invited a child psychologist in today to let us know why children do the things they do, and maybe sometimes how the things we do and the things we say to them, how those things affect them. I'd like to welcome Mr. David Akinyemi, child psychologist. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
Yes.
Why do children act the way they do?
Wait now.
Oh, sorry.
Happy Children's Day. And I'm saying that for the benefit of your patients.
Okay, we are all children.
Thank you.
All right.
Somebody gave birth to us.
Thank you.
Yes, because
So when we meet our parents, to them,
I was going to call my children after this program and say, Happy Children's Day to you.
And they will say,
am I a child? I say, you're not a child, you are my child. So, why do children behave the way they do?
If you look at...
you know what we mean by that.
Yes, yes, yes. If you look at a child, normally, if you look at a child is usually very, very innocent. A child has a blank mind. Whatever you see a child do emanates from experiences, exposure, and certain things that has been inherited from both parents in form of trait patterns. So aside the trait patterns inherited from parents, the environment the child flows in the culture, the school the child attends, the vicinity the child is growing. All those things contribute to what you will see a child do.
A child of 4, for instance, stealing somebody's book from school and bringing home. I mean, a parent would sometimes want to ask, where did you learn that from?
Yeah. A parent can ask where the child learned it from. But while the child was also growing, before that particular stage, you see, I don't want to talk about theories, but then, from deep down, there are some things that the child would have elicited that could have been pampered.
For instance?
For instance, a child crawling to a visitor who has just been offered a drink.
Mm-hmm.
You know, usually, maybe it's still a child. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
It's still a child and it's been overlooked. Over time, that pattern grows. After all, nobody's frowning at it. So that covetousness can actually grow in that particular child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then wanting other things. You know, at times you will see what that child is stealing. Possibly the child has even better things at home.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, this is ridiculous. So certain, you see, there are always, you see, for anything you see later in the future, or as a child grows older,
mm-hmm.
there are some things that would have been flagged from onset, that were possibly ignored.
Sometimes we reward our children for good behavior and reprimand them for bad. Does that work? Is it a good practice?
You see, what you have just said is a learning practice. And is in a way to ensure the continuity of a good behavior.
Why should I reward you for cleaning your room? You know you should clean your room. So because you made your bed today, I should give you a bottle of Coke. Why?
No, reward system doesn't have to be, how will I put it?
Tangible?
Tangible, like the Coke or money.
Okay.
Or things that you're talking about.
Okay.
A reward system could just be like, wow, I love this. You are doing well.
Ah.
Beautiful.
Just words.
Exactly. Making comments.
Okay.
Just like, oh, you're looking beautiful today. So when you tell a child you're looking beautiful today, you're handsome today, the child will like, oh, what exactly did I do today that made people comment this way? So the child will want to, pay keep attention to that and follow that steps.
I'm curious about something that you said, when you talked about discipline. You said on one hand there's this covetousness that the child is demonstrating that should have been flagged, and some parents let it be because it's a child. Other parents just speak to you with their eye.
Speak to you in the eye.
With the eye.
Yes.
Like
exactly. That was the way someone like me grew up. Mm-hmm. When a visitor comes and is offering you money, the next thing is
you look at mommy.
You look at your mom or your dad.
Take it.
At times, take it might not mean take it.
Exactly.
You also will understand the tonation of that take it.
There is take it, then there is take it.
Exactly.
Take it.
Take it.
Exactly.
Toba.
And he sounds like you have some experiences. The way you are laughing, I'm suspecting.
Parents.
When visitors comes in, that issue will not tell you.
Don't
leave
or don't sit down.
You just look at you, and then the next thing is you excuse them and you leave. But then, the kids that are growing now, I'm not sure they have that skill.
Which brings me to that question. There are those who, we had a guest here earlier, and we've had some who say that parenting patterns have changed.
Yes.
Consequently, our approach to raising children should change. What has changed? When did it change? Why has it changed? And what did it change to? 4 in 1.
Okay. You know,
what has changed, first of all?
Like I always say something, culture is defined as what? The way of life of a particular people. You know, in Nigeria, we have our own pattern. And in recent times, I've realized that a lot of people want to follow the foreign pattern. Anyway, the foreign pattern might have worked for the foreigners too, but our own pattern too has worked for us. I'm not saying that one should be mean to a child. Like, you know, if you look at the days of our forefathers, why a man, we say because he is hungry, brings out a wood that is being laced with fire to chase his or her child because he is hungry. I'm not in support of that pattern too, but we can modify, but not neglecting totally the root. So many people now we say, I don't want my children to go through the pattern I went through. It's a good one. But you must also be very careful too. I'm not saying you put your child to suffer, but in a way of not allowing that child to go through the rough path. But you must also allow the child to understand the rough path. He might not go through it, but the child understand that there's a rough path.
So you don't totally insulate them. You can
you're
insulate them.
You're not making him suffer, him or her to suffer.
You're not insulating them from...
But he's aware that suffering exists.
Yeah.
So there is the consequence that you don't want them to go through, but they need to know that there is such a thing.
Exactly.
Because there are other people who are going through.
And therefore be able to appreciate their circumstance.
Exactly.
Why did the change come? Why that change of parenting from what we had to what we now have?
Importation.
We imported that one too?
Yes.
We imported culture.
You know Nigerians, anything made in Nigeria is not appealing.
More American than the American.
Exactly.
So essentially, we're saying here, okay, maybe you should draw the line for us between what some call high-handed child discipline and child abuse.
You know, beating now is child abuse.
So I'm told.
It's child abuse.
As a psychologist. Exactly.
Okay, let me put it to you directly.
Okay.
Is it wrong to beat your child?
For me, it's not wrong to beat a child.
As a professional,
I was once a teacher.
As a professional or as a as you?
As Mr. Akiemi.
Okay. I was once a teacher. And while I was teaching, I always tell my students, I don't beat beyond 2 strokes. In most cases, 1 stroke. But at max, 2. And why beating you? I will let you understand the reason why you are being flogged. Is usually at times, people use the rod without communicating. When you use the rod, there must be a vivid communication. So it's when your case is critical that I even beat you too. Then you understand that, I've done a very bad thing.
For this man who doesn't beat to beat me.
So, for me, even what does the Bible say? Spare the rod.
And spoil the child.
So, in disciplining a child, it's a carrot and stick approach. A sort of pampering, which is the carrot. The stick to reprimand. I'm not saying, you see, where the punishment, where beating can be an abuse, is when you beat to inflict marks. You don't have to beat with a act of wickedness. No. Some people will beat and create marks. It's uncalled for. So, when you beat a child, it doesn't. You are slapping. You slap a child now, and the whole of your 5 fingers are showing. That's brutality.
Okay. Now, you see, I would like you to help us parents draw the line, because the psyche of the parent has to also be factored in. We were talking the other time about policies of government that affect the parents in such a way that the parents themselves need to see a psychologist in order to be able to take care of their children the way, they are expected, the way society expects them to. Now, the parent is probably somewhat dysfunctional as well and has to raise a functional child in a functional society. Help us help parents draw the line, create the balance. Please factor in that in every society, there are various categories of people.
Nowadays we have many unprepared parents.
Accidental parents.
We have accidental.
Oh, that's different.
We have unprepared.
Okay.
Now, accidental.
Please.
Out of the blues, she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's been told to marry. That could be accidental.
Mm-hmm.
Unprepared. You just know that it's a stage for you to marry. But you don't have a plan. For everything that is achieved appropriately, went through a process. A lot of people don't want to follow the process now. I see parents that are selfish now. They just see giving birth as one of the obligations in marriage. As long as you are married,
you have to have children.
You have to have children. So basically, we have many parents that are just busy with their personal life. Especially when there is even money. I can have a nanny for you. I can have a driver for you. But where is that space of personal interaction where you create a good rapport between you and your child? It's very, very important. When that relationship does not exist, you barely know the child. Then the child is being thrown into the hands of a stranger who will teach the child the best practice according to the person.
Yeah.
So you see, you talk about kids being influenced by their peers. Go deep down to their homes. I'm not sure the bond is strong. While I was growing up, everything that happened in school is what I share to. But how many parents have time for that now? I'm tired, especially in Lagos here.
Everybody's hustling.
Where you are stuck in traffic for hours. And the next thing you are thinking of is to crash. No, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And there's never that tomorrow. So, parents need to understand how to balance work and family. It's important. It's very, very important.
Now, we spoke about communication the other time. And I'd like us to speak a little more about it, because we began this program, for instance, by talking about the fact that generally it seems children get the sore end of the stick, the unfair hand is usually dealt to parents, to children, by society. Be it at home, on the roads, in school, in the hospital, wherever. As my colleague said, even, when she was growing up, she was telling us that, look, you don't talk. Nobody wants to listen to you. Just do as you are told.
Full stop.
But today, you tell a child to go somewhere, the first thing you hear is, why?
Yeah, why? Because...
So how do we communicate to children? How do parents who dared not say why can sit down and listen to their own parents, can sit down and listen to why from their kids?
Any parental style adopted is the conviction of that particular parent of best practice. For our parents, why we could not say why, does it still mean is the best practice? But for a child who is asking a question, I don't also think such child should be shut down. You see, especially a growing child, questions like that helps them build confidence the more you answer it. The more you answer those questions, help you establish a good relationship with them, because the child is aware that every question being asked will be attended to. So I don't see them asking the why question, but the attitude can be corrected, because the attitude might not be right. And is what can be questioned should be the attitude, not the question the child is asking.
Now,
he has only asked the question.
You said something the other time about accidental parents and unprepared parents. Help parents understand their children in this particular issue. Some children just want to talk. Some just want to play. Some don't talk. I have experiences where some parents who are disciplined and are disciplining their own children can't stand the way some other kids, maybe in church, at events, wherever, are just running amok.
Messy. And
the parent who is disciplined and trying to discipline the parents are like, can't you, some parents I can't imagine Alero seeing some things and keeping quiet when you see some children.
It has to be Alero.
There are some people who cannot just keep quiet. Why are you not cautioning or curtailing this child? You're just letting this child run riot. So how do we manage all of that?
Do you know that a parent's personality is reflected in a child?
When the parent was small or when the parent is old?
No. Your kind of personality will reflect in your child. If you have the disciplined personality, especially people with obsessive compulsive personality, who want a pattern, if you see their child, you will know their kind of parent. And a parent that is freeway is the one that you see the child running around.
Mr. Akinyemi, I think I have some degree of OCD.
No, you don't have OCD.
Okay, all right. Well, my children call me.
You can say you have OCP, which is obsessive compulsive personality. When it becomes a disorder, it means that it's already affecting your daily
it's not
activities.
a disorder. It's not a disorder. Okay,
so it's personality.
Thank you. But it looked like my children rebelled against that. We are going to do the opposite of what this woman says.
Because they have
to tidy
now.
their room is a problem. To do the dishes is a okay. They've gone now, you know. But they still call me and
I'm sure you.
How is my OCD mommy? I said, okay, I'm going to be correcting them now. They should never call me OCD again. It's OCP.
You see, it's good to instill principles in children. As much as you feel they rebelled, if you look deep down there, you will see that they have picked some of those things, no matter how little. But if you just leave them, allow them live their life, the outside world will shape them for you.
What was that Lagbaja song?
Which one of them?
No, the child Timon Conley.
Okay, Mr. Kemi, it's Children's Day.
Yeah.
And some attention should be going to children now. The most that we'll have children's parties, in some areas, match pasts, special programs like that. Do you think society, from your experience, from your practice, is deliberate about children?
Our society, if it's deliberate about children, I really doubt. Who is a child? A child simply is someone who wants attention and who wants to be heard. Anytime I come to you, just answer me. Every of my queries, just answer. I need you now. You must be available. That's a child. And that's why, basically, when we see somebody, we say he's being childish. I mean, because he's exhibiting the attribute, attention. We want some questions to be asked. So that's a child. So does the society give attention to children? Do they answer questions? A child growing up now, I want to become a doctor. But he's in a society and he's looking around. You know, at some point, he might just be like, would this thing be possible? Because of certain threats that might be coming outward from outside, external factors. So my own is, if the society can answer the two questions, that do they give attention to children and do they answer their queries, then we would say they are children focused.
Be it directly or indirectly. Be it directly or indirectly, Mr. Kemi. I'm curious how society factors in, directly or indirectly, the welfare of the parents who take care of the welfare of their children. We've been talking about this all morning, and some people may be watching this, after it's broadcast and everything, but even the parents themselves, how significantly? Because, okay, maybe let me put it differently. Parents themselves are stressed. You go to a stressful job, through a stressful traffic, come back from a stressful experience at your workplace, through a stressful journey home, get home, things aren't the way you expect them to be. How does that kind of parent balance life? There is that thing they call work-life balance, right? How do you balance your life in such a way that your parenthood or parenting equates significantly to the benefit of the child that you're raising, because at the end of the day, that child is all you're going to have left in this world.
Parents need to be intentional about their children, just as they are intentional about their work. Why do people put their all in the job they do? Simply, maybe their life depends on it. Or simply, it might be difficult to earn ends meet if the job is over. So if you see that child too, that if this child does not do well, it might be the end of the world to you, I think you'll be intentional. Emotional intelligence too is important. How to manage your emotions. Take work stress off and still see how your family can still work. Do you know that some people get married and the first few years of their marriage, they decide that they won't give birth? Mm-hmm. Or because they want to strike a balance, an agreement. But then, you know, our cultures too, we might not even allow some people practice things like that. Because from the day you get married, they're already counting days for you. It's 9 months. What's happening? Are you people having challenges? Let's pray. Let's do this. Let's do that. See, this man, he's a consultant. Is this, is that. So they start mounting pressure. So people relatively can't even plan their life because of societal demands.
But they're getting away with it now. They tell their parents, that was your time. That's not how we want to live our life, so leave us alone.
But they still get choked. At times, when the pressure becomes too much, to an extent they succumb.
That's the parents.
They succumb now. Especially, they will have to succumb because most likely in our culture, especially in Nigeria, females are the women. They are always on the...
It's always their fault.
So they will succumb so that to prove them wrong.
Except the jackpot.
Yeah, when there's no pressure, interference.
But you know, you said something the other time about parents being deliberate.
Yes.
How far-reaching can that go? Here is why I'm asking the question. I'm a parent, I'm deliberate. You're a parent, you're deliberate. She's a parent, she's deliberate. But one or two other parents are not deliberate, and our children have to be in the same environment at the same time. You often tell us that children are impressionable. They live more by what they see.
Yes.
And the teacher was here the other time, sitting in that very seat, that said, look, parents, teachers, children believe their teachers a lot more sometimes than they believe their parents.
Yes. While I was in primary school,
our teacher said,
if you tell me my teacher is wrong, hey, I will fight you. No, what's my teacher that said this? I don't even want to, you know, at times my assembly will be like, that your teacher. I have a degree better than that your teacher. And I will like, no, my teacher said this.
Okay, so then, the reason I am asking that is, so these children all have to be in the same class. They all have to live and grow up together. The one with the good behavior being raised deliberately by deliberate parents, and the ones that are not being raised by deliberate parents. So a child goes out and, as Elero said the other time, picks up one or two habits that you, the parents, are wondering, where did you get that from? So what does this deliberate parent do?
A child eliciting bad behavior is not the end of life.
You're not nice.
Yes, it's not the end of life. If you are deliberate enough, you also see through to that child changing from the bad behavior. For the fact that he is a drug addict does not mean he will die being a drug addict.
So I should twiddle my toes and wait until he decides to change.
No. That has been deliberate You won't wait till he change. Because you are deliberate, you will see to that child quitting.
He must change.
Exactly.
Okay. It raises the other question of discipline. There is a way you were raised. Child psychologists and society are telling you parenting styles have changed. You can't force the child to do something the child does not want to do. You have to answer every why question and all of that. So where is the balance?
Who says you can't force a child?
Oh.
Who says?
So you can't force how? You are the professional.
As long as what you are forcing, okay, a child is supposed to eat. And because you can't force the child does not eat. And as a result, how will I put it? As a result, you can see that the child is malnourished. People will not blame you and you get back to this one. Look at how good you are and see your child. All because you don't want to force the child. There are things that you will force a child to do. But exactly, the process will fight you now. But there are some things you might not force a child to do, especially in choice of career. You can only model.
So there are things you force a child to.
Guide.
There are things you don't force a child to. It's like I said, you are telling us now that parents need to go back to school to learn how to be parents.
Yes.
Well, there's no
you see,
school
when you
for
even talk about
parenting.
parenting style, there's no perfect parenting style.
And there's no manual either.
It's your ability to pick from all the styles at the appropriate time. When you are to be firm, be firm.
When you are not to be fed.
I think that's a good place to leave it today. Pick from the various styles that you know and gather your own manual by yourself.
And if you don't
write your own manual.
If you don't know
what suits you and your children.
If you don't know
effective communication too. If communication is said to be effective when there's a feedback.
Okay.
So if you don't get a feedback, then your communication is not effective.
From what I'm hearing, if you don't know any parenting style, Google it. What?
Mr. David Akinyemi, a child psychologist, thank you very much for coming to spend time with us on this Children's Day and talking to us about why children do the things that they do.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much. Happy Children's Day to you again.
To us. To us.
Yes.
Sunrise will be right back with the home stretch in just a moment. And guess what? We have a child star.
Okay. You see those two children? Yeah, children like us, Yeah. But none of them is our Artist of the Week this morning. Our Artist of the Week is Shemilore Ayemomi, and she's a music performer. She will tell us all the things that she does. You are welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Happy Children's Day to us.
Yeah.
Good. You acknowledge that I'm a child too.
Yeah, we're all children.
Okay.
Okay, I accept. I give up.
You're just higher ranking.
Higher ranking.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. As they say in Pidgin, monkey by grade. Higher grade of child.
What's your specialty?
Well, I'm into sports. I do music a lot, ever since I was a kid. There's this thing that always moved me. As a kid, normally people would watch cartoons, right? To just have fun. But then whenever I watch cartoons or any shows, I watched it, the musics were so intriguing. There was just something about it. I wasn't captivated by the characters or any of those stuff. It was just the music. It just sinks. It just goes into my spirit. It's really uplifting. So it's always been a huge part of me.
Please. What is uplifting about Tom and Jerry's music?
Stuff like that.
Tom and Jerry.
because I also play instruments.
Okay.
So yeah.
What instrument do you play?
I play the keyboard, and I recently just started playing the guitar. So I play bass now.
Is there music in your family?
Yes, it's like a family thing. From my mom's side, my dad's side, they were all into choir. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like
Choir.
a family thing.
Mom,
are you in the choir?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
What did mom play or sing?
Oh no, she was a singer.
Okay, and dad?
My dad, he used to play the keyboard, but then he stopped after some time.
And handed it to you?
Yes. But then my uncle, he's like really into music. Like that's like a full-time thing for him, and he's doing.
Do you plan to make it a full-time thing?
Well, oh my God, I'm pretty sure my dad is watching this, but
so
yeah, I started when I was 12. I said to myself, I'm going to become a rapper because that's just like the best part of me, right? People tell me I sing very well, but then rap is my passion. So anything rap, anything like literally beats, like, yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one because you're a rapper. What do you rap?
It depends. It's mostly like motivational.
Because when I hear rap, my comes to mind.
Oh dear.
Just say.
When we close the program, you're going to rap something.
Yeah.
To close the program.
No, sure.
Okay.
But how did you select rap?
Rap.
Well, it was when I was about 8. My sister used to have this like playlist. My older sister, she had this playlist. There's this particular guy, NF. Everything he says is just literally about reality. So everything he would say just used to move me, even as a kid, right, at that age. And then, like, he just, normally, like, in my family, rap was not really our thing, because, like, my dad didn't like rap. And so he felt like, because most rap he listened to, they were swear words, they were cussing and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I felt that way, too, because, like, my dad is, like, my favorite. He's, like, my,
Your G.
yeah, he's my paddy. So, like, I'm always, on team daddy. So, like, everything my dad, like, his perspectives became mine.
Yours.
Exactly. So, like, he felt like rap wasn't worth it. So I felt that way, too, until I listened to this NF guy. And then he gave me a very wide and broad view on how rap is. And, every time I listened to him, all I could do was smile. And then from there, I just said, okay, maybe I should just like learn it and stuff. And then I learned that. It didn't take me up to an hour. I learned that rap. And then I learned another one of his raps. I kept learning and learning. And then from there, some of my friends started hearing me rap. And from there, in my church, I started rapping. Some other places, they would call me to rap and stuff. So from there, it just became a huge part of me. Like, I could literally be walking right now. I stomp my feet, and then I make a beat. I start clapping my hand. I make a beat, and then I start rapping. And then sometimes my friends would just be like, "Shimura, are you okay?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm good." They'll be like, "Oh my God, she's in the spirit again." So it's just like a huge part of me.
Just a little bit of academics, because we're running out of time already. Okay. Do you know the meaning of rap? Not yet. Some people say it means rhythm and poetry.
Okay.
Now, so how well versed? Okay, no, let me not go, because academic is not good enough. What if how did you get trained or developed for it?
Well, for rapping, I like train myself, basically.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't really see other people who rap that much, because some people still tend to think that the whites rap and they cuss and they think that's the only way people rap.
Fast raps?
But yeah, fast rap and stuff. But then they think rapping is mostly like wordly stuff. But then it can be more, there's more to that. There are a lot of motivational rappers. There are a lot of rappers that actually make a difference. But then I don't really see like older people like that could mentor me into rapping the way I want it, because most of them are like judgmental about it. So I grew up training myself. I would watch some videos and then I would rehearse. There's this stuff I would do where I would like do this vocal warm up. It's not like I'm singing. It's like I could be like Peter Parker picked a pick up, something like that, and then I keep going and faster. Yeah, so it's just basically that.
Who's your favorite rapper?
Oh, it's NF, the guy, but Nigerian, it's Fowls.
Of course he has. Is there?
Yeah,
Are there any other Nigerian rappers? I think Fowls is the most famous Nigerian rapper.
And he's the best. He's the best.
How about MI?
He's the best.
MI had this smooth, in my opinion. I'm not a rapper, so I wouldn't know. But MI had this smooth suave to rap. You listened to him before?
Yeah, once.
Yeah.
Oh dear, didn't make any impression on you, did it? Okay, all right, no problem.
Okay, but does it? I don't know how to put this question. You're a female, you're young, and you are into rap. Does it bother you?
Well, sometimes I feel uncomfortable because I won't really say I feel uncomfortable, but then people try to make me feel uncomfortable with the fact that I'm a female, yeah? And everybody feels like rapping is meant for guys and stuff, but then no, that's not true, because anyone could be whatever they want to be. It's just
Queen
based on
Latifah
your
raps.
perspective and how good you think you are at whatever you're doing. So like a lot of times people try to push me down and be like, oh my God, what are you doing? That's supposed to be for guys and stuff. And then I'll just look and smile and be like,
they don't know.
They don't know. Yeah, they don't know.
Anybody can do anything.
Yeah, anyone can do
Women
anything.
are going to the moon.
Exactly.
So why can't women rap?
Okay.
Especially if they rap well.
Yeah.
Okay, do us a little rap now.
Okay.
Before we get to the closing.
Okay, this is your song, right?
Yeah, this
is there a point where you rap here?
Yeah, there is.
Are we there yet?
No.
Okay, just raise it a little so we can catch it when she gets there. Are you getting there closer?
Yeah, it's close.
Okay. Just don't answer me anymore. Once we get to that point where you have to rap, just start, okay? Because sometimes I can be very talkative, you know? And as I am right now, you can see that I'm just talking. You don't know what I'm saying. But before you started, you can just jump into the rap when it's time. Before you started it, how did mommy and daddy receive the fact that you want to rap?
My mom was very okay with it because she's from Delta. So, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not judging or anything, but then Delta people believe you can do everything. But sometimes Yoruba parents, they can be picky. Most of them want you to be doctors, lawyers, those kind of things. So they feel like that kind of my dad at first thought it was like a distraction for me. But then when he saw I was going well with it, he actually like was okay with it. So can they like raise it up a little now?
Take it up,
and no matter what you do, he keeps on watching over you. He keeps teaching, securing you from the enemy's wrath. Some may trust in chariots and horses, but I will only ever follow the path Jesus is. That's why now I don't turn to Yahweh, because all I really gotta do is turn to Yahweh. He's such a big God. He's the lifter of my head. And he said to me, yeah.
Oh, you sing too?
Yeah,
go, girl. Go, girl.
I think it's getting to that time of life where you begin to teach some people. Will you teach how to rap? I'm just saying. Hey, I'm trying to support your ministry here. Don't forget, you're on Team Cell. So, okay. She
support my ministry, indeed. So I start rapping at what age?
I just say grammar raps, you know what I'm saying? Grammar raps. Yeah.
And you'd be like, yo.
Oh my God, this woman's gone crazy in her old age.
Okay, now you said something now, which I could we can close on. You can be what you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. Would you tell any young person also listening to us right now about that? Because many are, what's the word now? They have
limited.
They're limited.
They're limited in their thinking.
In their thinking, in their mind.
Look at that camera and talk to them. Tell them what you just told us.
Okay, so just a little something. First of all, happy Children's Day to every child out there, and to parents too, because we are all children. You know, we all look at life with different perspectives. But to be honest, there's only one goal at the end, and that's success. We tend to be picky. Think one is better than the other, but then to be honest, it's all the same. Whether you're a doctor, you're a basketballer, you're a teacher, no matter what it is, we are all equal. Someone who's playing basketball could even be more successful than a doctor. But then we feel that, we tend to feel in our African homes, we tend to feel that if you are something other than those professions, then you can't be successful. But I want you to believe and know today that no matter what you do, the sky is your starting point. No matter anything you do, no matter, it may seem like it's impossible right now. It may seem like everything is crashing. But no matter what you do, and if you put your heart into it, I tell you, you will achieve. The sky is your starting point. Thank you.
I guess you just preached to some parents too.
Yeah.
Well, Adara said you're going to close out with a rap, so we're just going to sign out, right? What time is it now? Yes, it's that time of day.
Thank you for being with us on this Children's Day. We'll bring you a fresh edition next month. Until then,
that's true. Next month.
Put Nigeria first. I'm Alero Edu saying bye-bye.
It's Inauguration Day on Monday, and it's a public holiday. What you going to do for your nation? I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful Children's Day, and we'll leave you in the hands of
Shemilore.
Okay.
Freestyle. Okay. Cut the music.
Okay. And that's for us, I can see. I just need privacy. Plus a lot of your head of the modesty. I just need space to do me, give the what they're trying to see. I stole all my soul up inside of me. A Ferrari, I'm buying 3. A closet of Saint Laurent, do what I want when I want, cause this hunger is driving me, yeah. I just need to be alone. I just need to be at home on the set when I'm speaking. And if time is money, I need a loan. But regardless, I always keep keeping on. I hate fake friends, I don't take L's, I just make M's. While y'all follow, I just make trends. I'm right back to work when that break ends. And I don't like talking to strangers. Should just get off me, I'm anxious. I'm trying to be cool, but I'm just getting anxious. I hate it, all of your faces. Each Chinese still not famous. Everyone knows how this lifestyle is dangerous. But I love it, the rush is amazing. Celebrate nightly and everyone rages. I found out a couple mangas, so I'm swimming in money. I'm swimming in dip. Liver is muddy, but it's so good. I'm sipping. This ain't right in my day and get lucky. I'm ready right here, can stop thinking they cut it. I'll take the money for granted, but don't want to work for it. Tell me now, isn't it funny?